Good evening, everybody, and welcome to the Town of Rhinebeck Zoning Board of Appeals meeting for December 18th, 2024. We have 4 board members here, so we have a quorum. It's always nice. And let's see. It says confirmation or modification of posted meeting agenda. I don't think there's been anything.
No changes.
Yeah, no changes. All right. And next is the approval of the November 20 minutes, and I looked at them and I didn't see errors or corrections that were needed or anything, but I'll defer to the rest of the gang. You didn't see anything that jumped out of? Okay.
Are you ready?
Yeah. So, since there are no questions, concerns, or corrections, I will make a motion that we accept the meeting minutes for November 20th, 2024. Do I have a second? All right, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye, all right. Okay.
We need to set these one of these for everybody to talk about.
All right. We can keep our voices up too, so.
We'll need one.
Yeah. Oh, for that, yeah. All right, so that takes care of our preliminary items. And I apologize for the feedback. We usually don't have a problem with our system, but it's not in the Christmas spirit. Okay.
Right.
Do you have any expertise in this?
Could that be feeding back, facing the speaker, that mic perhaps?
That one I just pulled.
Is that turned way up by any chance? Because that facing the speaker could have something to do with it.
That one's on close.
Oh, so yeah, not.
Maybe we just talk really loud.
Yeah, and we'll just,
You never know what it is.
yeah, that's all right. All right, well, we're going to move on to the new applications. We have 3 new applications up this evening. The first one is the Floyd matter. It's case number 1067. Is there anybody here for the Floyd case?
Yeah.
Come on up. Okay, and excuse me, what we're looking for here is we want to go over the application. We want to make sure that it's complete enough that we can accept it. Yeah, and we have the camera there, so if you can kind of speak into it, just say who you are, and then we can go through the application, and Kim can take you through if you need to have things put up on the board.
Yeah, if we can get the survey map put up there. So I'm Joseph Malharney. This is Ben Floyd, the property owner, and we are here in reference to a pool house and pool construction that we're looking to do. And this is going to be in front of the primary residence, which is the main reason why we're here this evening.
You want to there we go. I can hear you now.
And just looking at that, is there a reason that it has to be in front of the primary residence, such as, for example, in the back, it's wetlands?
Yeah, exactly. So
Right.
if you...
So if you can just explain why you have to, what the need for the variance is, why you have to put it where it is.
Certainly, certainly. So this is a very large parcel, several acres of land. This is all, well, the back part. This is either wetland or land conservancy, so there's not an option to do it here. This is the buffer zone that we have here. On this side is the septic system that's here, and so we have actually put the pool, there needs to be at least 35 feet spacing, so that the pool is spaced exactly 35 feet from the septic. And if you go to the site, and we have some pictures that we could also show you, there really is no other possible location to put it. If we could put it back farther, we would, but unfortunately, we are tucked up again, as tight against the septic as we possibly can. So on the property itself, even though it's a large parcel, you get into steep slopes that are up here, and the septic that's on this side. On the other side is the buffer for the wetland. So this is the only area on the property that we could actually put the pool and pool house.
Right, and we'll make a site inspection, so we'll get to see what
Sure.
the topography is like and all that.
Yep.
That's important to know. Is it staked out, the general area?
Yes.
Okay.
Yep. And we can make it clear that's there, but right now you have the stakes in the ground to show kind of basically the footprint of the pool house.
Yeah, we typically do that after the public hearing, so it's a ways down the road, but I just asked.
Sure.
I know you've given us,
We have updated plans.
renderings, okay.
Yeah. I don't have the renderings, we're just gonna show these to you, and then at the next meeting, we'll come with the renderings. that
Okay,
show-
and that's typically what we need is people usually leave out renderings showing what the pool house will look like in color and everything else, and how it's gonna appear on the property.
Exactly.
and all
We'll do all that.
Okay. that. Yeah, you can give the direction.
Yeah.
We'll give her one and for the record, and then we'll take one. Thank you. So, it's not a deal killer, but it's something that's typically.
Oh, yeah, no problem. We're planning to, just as long as we.
And these are new renderings, you said? Or you have a meeting?
Yeah, these.
So what you have in front of you now are the latest plans. As you go to I believe it's the second to last page, they'll show the elevations of what it looks like, which is very similar, again, from what you had before. There's just some minor changes to the window layout. Once we kind of get through this meeting here, then we're going to create the renderings, showing the pool house on the property, and do that, so the 3D renderings.
Does it change the variance in any way?
No.
Okay,
The size of the building footprint, everything is the exact same.
okay.
Location of it is the same. It's, like I said, just the window layout is a little bit different, minor modification to the floor plan.
What is for the set that you have here? I mean, that you can tell us if there's any changes.
Yeah, so I mean, basically, the only change that we had that's on the plans you have currently is that the fence here is going to drop down, which is going to line up with the corner of the building, which is just going to move this down as well. So basically, kind of mostly everything else is the same. So the stairway is going to be here. The bathroom and the stairway are just flipped. Those are the differences with basically the set of plans that you have now versus what the ones I just gave you. And currently this exists, the kind of the areas that are light, the light colored, all of that already exists. So what the new part is, kind of basically inside the pool area.
What's the office for?
I work from home.
Excuse me?
I work from home full time.
Okay.
Is there a new septic system plan for this, or is it
No.
tied into the old one?
Yeah, so this is tied into the old, and there's not an increase of bedrooms or anything like that. So the only thing that the Board of Health needs was just a notification that there is going to be additional waste going into the current system, which they have. And have we got the sign off from Mark Grimsky on that? Yeah.
Do you have any data now?
Yeah, so they've been notified. We submitted everything to them. They said we want just some minor plane changes to what he submitted, and he made those changes and submitted to them. So that will be, momentarily looking at.
So the office use, that's why this is going to be year-round. Typically, pool houses are year-round,
Correct.
and so that was kind of unusual. And that's the explanation.
Seems like an auxiliary living space to me. Why wouldn't it be considered that?
I'm sorry, say that again?
I said it looks like an auxiliary living space to me.
So the purpose is not for it not to be that way?
Structurally, it looks like that. terms of everything that's there?
Well, typically,
Use it year round.
typically, the way we would see something and classify it as a year-round is you would have a shower and a kitchen space that you could use, independently to make that. And so, because of the exterior entrance and no kitchenette, no bathroom, so the office space, is something that the intent is to use all year round. But this is not intended for an ADU or, a living space or anything.
And the reason we ask is we've seen this in the past, and one of the questions I have is, it looks like the second floor is pretty big. What are the plans for that, if any?
Storage.
Plans for storage.
Okay, so no bedrooms or anything like that?
Yeah, that is the plan.
And was anything removed? Like, I know you had mentioned a kitchenette and mentioned a shower, anything removed from that, from the plans that you have now? Still
No,
have a
no,
kitchenette?
there's, so the plans that you have now do not show a kitchenette or a shower, and the new plans that I just gave you do not have a kitchenette or a shower. The difference is, as I mentioned, is the access to the attic space and bathroom that could be flipped.
And you said the office is an external only?
External only entrance, that's correct.
So there's no kitchen appliances and there's no shower.
That's correct.
Any other questions?
And this is just a thing from parcel access, just to show you, I did put the wetlands on, you can see that the big majority of that
Right.
section is wet.
And that's very helpful.
Yeah, so you can see the wetland. There is property over here, but there's actually no way, and it's part of the conservation. Anyway, so even if they could have access, they wouldn't be able to build on it, but for two main reasons. One, we're not allowed to have access there, and secondly, obviously, a pool house, a quarter of a mile away wouldn't be practical.
Right. Okay, so again, already that you have to have the renderings, and
Yes.
they should be colorized and show as accurately as possible what the structure's going to look like.
Yes.
And also how it's going to appear on the property, as best you can.
Yeah.
Most people have an ability to make it pretty lifelike.
Yeah, we'll make it basically almost like we took a picture and it was.
Yeah, right, and that's what we look for.
Yeah.
At least one view that's looking, from the pool house to the house, so you can see them in relation to each other.
So yeah, a view kind of looking down this direction, so you can see both the house and the pool house certainly. Yes, once it's rendered, we'll provide those to you probably within the next week. If for any reason you want any additional views, once we have it all rendered, it's easy to provide additional views if there's anything that you feel is missing.
Do you have expectations and when you want to break ground?
The springtime.
And remind me, did this go through the planning board too?
No,
Straight-
no,
so-
just
Okay.
the zone.
In your application, you mentioned that you're be cutting down some trees likely.
I don't think so. Are there any trees down there?
You can't go by that, and you decide not to.
The no trees remaining.
No trees. Yeah, the space where it's at right now is really just right in this area here, and there are no trees in that area.
Yeah, well, people can see that from the left. That's
Yeah.
why we use that stuff.
Yeah.
I think, my perspective, the application is complete enough to accept, subject to receiving those renderings.
Certainly.
Anybody have any other thoughts, concerns? Okay. So I'll make a motion that we accept the application subject to receiving the renderings, and Gretchen, I don't know when the next meeting is in January, or when you're going to need those renderings.
15, so usually
Okay.
at least 2 weeks before.
Okay.
And can you make the 15th?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, I won't be here, but we'll make that work.
Okay. All right, great. All right, so I made a motion that we accept the applications of receiving those renderings. Do I have a second?
Second.
All in favor? Aye. Okay. Great, so we've accepted the application. Please get those renderings to us as soon as you can.
Okay, is there anything else that you need other than the renderings?
Not that I can think of.
Okay.
You know, the application is pretty complete and it's not that complex, so it's
Okay, great. If anything else, just let us know. I'm happy to provide you.
great. Thank you.
Great, thank you.
Okay, so we have some housekeeping to do here. Let's see. Referral is just the planning board?
Yes.
All right, and our council has suggested that this be deemed a type 2 action under 617, 25C17, granting an area variance for a single family or 2-family or 3-family residence. That seems appropriate. I'll make a motion that we accept the recommendation of our council. Do I have a second?
Second.
Okay. All in favor? Aye. All right.
Scheduled public hearing.
Yeah, well, yeah, the public hearing is going to be January 15th, which is the next date. And anybody want to volunteer to be the contact person?
Sure.
Okay. So Brian is the contact.
This drives you crazy.
Yeah, I'm sorry. The soldier on. Can we, how about this, can we just turn it off and go acoustic?
Talk loud enough.
Oh, I can talk loud enough. Let's go with it. Try it. Just so it doesn't drive everybody crazy here. All right. So the next,
Yeah, turn them off.
oh, all right, so we've turned off the sound system, so when you come up, please keep your voice up. All right, so the next application is the Block and Shipler matter, which is number 1068. Is there anybody here for that?
Yes.
Come on up. That's big.
Case number 1058.
It's 1068. It's down as 1070, but it's really 1068. And the other one was 1069, but it's really 1067.
Somehow that works.
So the numbers on the agenda are...
The numbers on the agenda are wrong. The first one is 1067. We're on 1068, and the last one's going to be 1069. Is it you, Steve?
Steve, are you magnetized?
Let's just keep, all right, we'll just soldier through, okay. So please introduce yourself, and I'm sure you've been through this process before. What we're looking for is just to take us through the application, say what you need and why you need it, and again, we're just going to assess this, see whether the application is complete enough to accept. We may need things like renderings, which we always need, but that won't prevent us from setting up a public hearing. So please.
Great. My name is Beth Eccles. I am an architect architect at Bear Architects, and I'm here representing Portia Bach and Craig Shipler, the owners of 26 White Schoolhouse Road. They apologize they couldn't be here today. They had a previously scheduled vacation. But they live here. This is their primary residence. They lived here for a few years. There is an existing, thank you. This is the main house that's existing. And then there's a horse stable that's not used any longer, but it has solar panels on the roof here. It's kind of an attractive little structure, and they first approached us to renovate that structure and turn it into a guest cottage and an art studio. However, it ended up that its location here on the lower end of the site is within 100 feet of the wetlands. It also had some foundation issues. So we pivoted to building 2 new accessory structures on the other end, the north end, higher end of the property here, just at the end of the long driveway. And one is still a guest cottage, a kind of 1-bedroom apartment with bedroom, full bathroom, and a small kitchenette. And then the other structure is intended primarily for the owner to use as a ceramic studio. She will not be firing any of the materials there, just using a potter's wheel and creating the pottery.
Which is which?
So the apartment, the guest cottage is this one, and the art studio is this one here. We can go to the plans. Going, these are just some interesting photos. Go one more maybe. So yes, this is the floor plan here. So this is that guest apartment. The idea is that's for friends and families who come to visit, and then if they needed maybe a caretaker at any point, they're retired, they're planning to age in place on this property. If they needed like a live-in caretaker, that could be also a use for that space. And then the art studio is here. So these total up to 900 square feet, and they basically meet all the criteria of an accessory dwelling unit. What we are asking for a variance for is the area variance to go above the allowable 1,500 square feet of accessory structures on the property, because there are some existing structures already. We're over that 1,500 square feet, and also the number of accessory structures in this zoning district, only 3 are allowable, but with these 2 new structures and removing one existing shed, we will have 5 accessory structures. So we're asking for approval of those 2 items.
What's your total square footage for all combined buildings?
The total accessory structures will be 2,490 square feet with added, and then including the main house, that's about 1,700 square feet. So
How big's the
4,100.
How big's the property?
It is
6.77 acres?
yes.
Okay.
Sounds right. I found the square footage, but
Yeah, no, it's
So now I
less
understand.
useful.
I have a cheat sheet,
That's
so
why you
I'm not that smart, I just cheated.
Yeah, so it's
understand.
a pretty large property. It kind of goes back into the woods. There's some existing pastures with more of an attic fencing that's been there for a long time, so that's all going to remain. And this is, the new structures are proposed for a very flat, high site close to the house. They believe that the previous owner had a pool in this location, and it was filled in. So.
Do you have any plans for the old horse barn or whatever?
They would like to just fix it up. The roof needs to be replaced, so they're going to remove the solar panels and just make repairs to the roof, and then put the solar panels back on, and then use it maybe for storage, or just leave it vacant for the time being.
Okay, and I see you gave us some photographs. Are these?
Those are all existing. There is
Right.
in the package, the renderings, it's a separate file
Yeah, I don't know, were they in
showing from
color?
the street view.
Okay,
It's a little small in the distance.
yeah.
We can, provide a larger, closer.
Yeah, just a little bit, I mean, it's
like-
kind of tough to see, I saw that, yeah.
Yeah, so each structure has a single pitch shed roof. We
So-
also plan to put solar panels on these two new structures
Okay,
as
and so
well.
you're talking the bottom right, and the bottom picture, the bottom right shows the two new
Yes.
structures. And that's gonna be what they look like, the color, et cetera, get that kind of,
Yes, yes, the idea is to essentially match or be very close to the kind of pale sage, very light green gray that the house is. And the windows were also looking to match that same color, just kind of blend in as much as possible.
is it staked out?
It is not.
Okay, so at some point, it doesn't have to be, typically we do the site inspections after the public hearing. So by sometime after the 15th, we would need to have both of the structures staked out, just so we have an idea of how it lays on the land and what
Is that a shed on the upper picture to the right,
Yes, this is the shed that we are planning to remove. And then this is that horse stable that we are planning to keep.
The house is two-story, and then each of the new buildings are one-story?
Correct.
Is a portion of the house one-story?
Yes, this was an addition that was added later that has a one-car garage as well as a bathroom and a mudroom in it. But that counts as one of the accessory structures, the garage, even though it's attached. Yes. As I understand.
But Ed, we won't get into it. It's just the way the interpretation has been forever. I'm not saying it's right. I agree with it, but we have to deal with it.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah, but it's useful for us to know that that's one of the accessory
Yeah.
structures.
We really ought to look into that one these days, because that's come up forever, for 20 years. And everybody looks at it
So
funny, like,
what's
it's
the
a cash
fifth
application.
accessory structure?
I'm sorry, what was that?
What's the fifth one?
There's another shed that's further back
Oh, okay.
on the site that can't be seen from, even really from the house. It's kind of tucked back. Yes, it's on the
Yeah.
first floor of this. It is right here.
Oh, okay.
So it's really tucked back in the woods there.
And are you planting any trees? I saw there was a landscape plan.
Not trees, some smaller shrubs, just to kind of blend there's, these are all existing shrubs here and here, so the idea is at the end of the driveway to sort of help conceal the structure a bit. And there'll be a blue stone walkway from the house to each of the structures, similar to what exists already over here.
So obviously behind the principal structure, how far back from the roadway approximately is that?
I believe it's about 140 feet.
Just from what you showed us, it doesn't look like they're going to be particularly visible from the roadway, at least during when there's foliage and things like that.
Right. Yeah, I think they'll appear small and if anything like, won't have a garage door, but it's kind of like the scale of a garage. Similar scale, very similar scale to the existing horse stable that's on the other side of the house.
Questions, concerns? Yeah. If you want to submit some more renderings, I know you've given us some, just to augment what you've already provided, that'd be great. But your application is very complete and put together nicely, thank you.
Okay.
I think it's complete, I'm just going to make a motion, but let me ask everybody else, it's democracy here. What do you think?
We have enough.
Yeah.
All right, then I make a motion the application, so, well, just to accept the application, and it would be helpful just to give us more information if you.
Sure. Did you want to
More
see
renderings.
any renderings of the trees if they put it up? Because they kind of, you provided us with renderings of what it would look like without the trees, the building.
Not, yeah, just shrubs.
Oh,
though.
the shrubs,
They'll be
okay,
low.
so
Yeah.
it won't really change, not like you're planting these
Yeah,
evergreens.
yeah.
Okay.
But we can include those in the,
It can't hurt.
those are up right.
The more information we have, the
So you know
better.
what
For
you're-
sure, for sure.
Okay,
Okay.
so I make a motion that we accept the application. Do I have a second?
Second.
All in favor? Aye. All right, and I'll take this one. We have to have a point first.
Yep.
So can you make January 15th, which is the next hearing that we have?
Yes.
Okay, great. So at the next hearing, since your application's been approved or accepted, you'll do the same kind of thing here. Your neighbors will be, or your applicant's neighbors will be advised. They can come here and they can ask questions and all that kind of stuff. But basically, we go through the same process. And then after that, we'll probably schedule a site visit. Okay.
Oh, I do have one quick question. At least in the electronic file that I have, and you might have changed, do you have like a certificate of ownership or authorization, but it wasn't notarized? Do you have a notarized copy of
I
that?
believe there is.
Okay. If not, can you just ask for that? Just a signature thing?
Yeah, yeah.
Okay.
I think the owners turn that in.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Okay, some housekeeping on this. Can you recommend it because there's a special use permit that may be required?
Yeah,
That the
it sounds like
planning
they're going
board-
to need a special use permit from the planning board.
Okay.
If that's the case, then I say we defer to the planning board to Zelka.
I always like deferring to the planning board.
Seeker. Do you know if they're going to be on the January
They will
planning
be
board?
on the 7th.
Okay.
Okay, so we'll defer to them on that. All right, and just a referral to the planning board, of course, they're going to have it in front of them anyway. I guess that's about it. And I'll take the lead on it. Be the point person, and I think that does it. Anything else? Okay. All right, so we come to our last application, and that is Ostroy. Is there somebody here for the Ostroy? Okay. This is number 1069, and you've seen what the application process is like. What we're going to do is we're going to go through the application with you, or you're going to show us the application. We'll have questions about it, I'm sure, and if we deem it, there's enough there for us to accept and put it up for the public hearing, and we may ask you for additional information. It's very common. So with that said, please keep your voice up, say who you are, and
Certainly.
explain the application, what you're asking for.
My name is Scott Dutton. I am the principal of Dutton Architecture. Our office is located in Kingston, New York. You happen to reside in the town of Rhinebeck at 584 River Road. The applicant, Andy Ostroy, is here. Andy purchased this property in 2003, and you may also know him as one of the owners of Samuels. We are here this evening to present a side yard variance request. This would be to add 2 bedrooms to the existing home and a screened-in porch. Andy has a multi-generational family, and his kids and his grandkids like to visit often. And even though the town of Rhinebeck has this listed as a 4-bedroom house, it is a 3-bedroom house. So the 2 additional beds will make it a 5-bedroom house. We have a civil engineer who evaluated the septic system. Unfortunately for Andy, he has to put a new system in. That application is in front of the Dutchess County Health Department. We have very carefully explored other ways to put additions on this house to obviate the need for a side yard variance. And I think you'll see when you make a site visit that it's completely impractical due to the roof lines of the existing home. This is the most obvious impractical way to get the additional bedrooms.
And can you use a pointer just to show us where?
Sure.
Is there a better?
I think there might be a.
Yeah, there might be a bigger, better.
Yep.
And it's also for the public, you know.
Certainly.
So,
So 94 Slate Quarry Road, if you're familiar with the road, you turn onto Slate Quarry, there's a large wetland, and this would be the first residential property. We prepared a fairly comprehensive visual simulation with study points along Slate Quarry, and that illustrates rather empirically that you can barely see the house even in this season with the vegetation. I don't know if we'll get to that later in the presentation. The two proposed additions would be on this side yard here. This is a screen porch. This is the 2-bedroom, 1-bathroom addition. And when you make the site visit, you'll say, "Boy, why do you need a side yard variance? It seems like there's ample room to the property line." But there is a shared driveway here that goes to one other house, two other houses. Doing an addition off to this side here, due to the roof lines, it just wouldn't work. We'd have to start over on the roof lines, essentially. So the setback, I think the next one has the measurements to the property line. It's really that driveway that throws things off.
yeah, do you know who the owners are? I think we may have had them before us before years ago.
You know the owners?
Alan and Robin, well, Tom French,
I think I know the property.
Francis Scott, and Vincenzo, that's one house, and Alan and Robin the other house. I think both of them might be relatively within that 4-year period.
So we did retain a surveyor to go out and prepare a new survey of the property and the features. So this survey is 2 months old.
Do you have renderings, pictures of what the place looks like now and what the addition is going to look like and all that?
We developed a 3D model in-house. We've been doing in-house 3D models for 17 years now.
Okay.
We also have prepared visual simulations for large projects in our office, as well as other firms and local land use and zoning attorneys. So if you see the attachment to the visual simulation, that comes from a reporting of methodology that has been tested by the courts in a couple of Article 78 proceedings. So it may seem like a little overkill for a small residential addition, but we wanted to articulate just how the renderings were prepared.
Yeah,
Correct.
how was it, yeah, what, I'm just,
If you back
I
up.
was curious because it almost looks like it's right on the, yeah.
Okay, so these are the points. They are all measured from the 0 station here, going back and going forward. What we do is we take the surveyor's 3D CAD file, build a 3D model that has the elevation marks. When my associate goes out to take the pictures, we know her eye height, so we can essentially recreate in a virtual world the exact positioning, and that accounts for the topography. You overlay our 3D model with the topographic visual model, and you stitch the two together with a common reference point. So there are locations that we shot, 5 locations here on Slate Quarry Road, 1 location up the shared driveway here. And in the vast majority of them, we had to create the outline of the house because you can't see it. You can catch a little bit of it in the view. There should be 6 views in total.
Yeah, do you want to go through those?
Sure. So this is the first view.
What does that show? What is that, right?
This, you look very carefully at it, and I do have like 17 copies. This is the adjacent wetland. If you could zoom in on this, you will see that is the existing porch. So effectively what we do is we take our 3D SketchUp model, superimpose it here, and then we had to trace that in order for you to have the frame of reference.
Right, but that's not where it's going to be. It's going to be farther in. Or is that the location?
This is as if it was an X-ray image, because you can't see it.
We were standing there in the swamp and the trees weren't there.
How far back from that
Yeah, that's what
is
it
that?
looks like. It's
The actual
right in the
house?
That can be measured on the site plan. I can provide that to scale if you go back one shot.
Yeah.
And it may make more sense as we progress through. So that image right there, 200 feet from the edge of property at the driveway. The next one is 62 feet, and then we go on down.
But so the little outline in red was what structure? What structure?
That's his
was that?
existing home.
Okay,
And because you can't see the
right.
proposed additions, I think it'll make more sense if we progress through. You'll see that in each case,
It's scale, if I were standing right there and all that crap wasn't in the way.
correct,
Okay.
correct.
I mean, scale what my eyesight would look like.
Correct. If a bomb went off and all the trees were
Right.
erased, and you could see through topography, that is what you would see.
So what you're trying to tell us is you can't see it.
You cannot see it from
Okay.
these locations. I think that'll be evident when you make your
Yeah,
site
we come out.
You will be able to see it from up the driveway. And to answer the next questions, having watched the 2 previous applicants, Andy and I haven't talked about what color the siding is yet, so we'll have a little bit of work to do there. But prior to the next meeting, we'll update our 3D model and create some additional views so you can fully understand.
It would be nice to see just the house and then the addition on the house and how it is on the property. This is nice too, but,
When we get to the 6th image, you'll see the 2 additions, because you'll be,
So would this one be visible from the road? Because it looks like there's not much there's not a lot of trees blocking.
it would be slightly visible, but that's edge of
Oh,
roof
okay.
It's
there.
in the roof. Just out of curiosity, now, given that you're having to do the septic and everything, when are you hoping to break ground?
Spring, summer. And
Summer?
we have this process, we have that process,
Yeah, your processes.
sanitary inlet, who knows,
Summer, fall.
finish plans, submit them for a permit,
so,
get a
is
contractor.
the addition of the white part?
The addition is the white part, it is not intended to necessarily be.
No, I know, I understand.
White, but because you're so far away. But we can easily, because we do this in-house, we can easily shoot other views.
That would be great. And we'll be out there anyway, and it'll be all marked out, but still, it's just nice to,
We can give you an aerial view, an axonometric view.
and just how it appears, closer in
Yeah.
and from different angles and that kind of stuff would be great.
Certainly.
It is important for us to know what the color is. We have to, one of the considerations, as you know, is how it's going to appear, and whether it's going to affect the neighborhood and all that kind of stuff.
course.
I understand there's not a lot of people around here, but we still have to know what
Yep.
it looks like.
Some thinking to do.
Are your shared driveway neighbors cool with all this?
I haven't discussed detail with them. I told them we're embarking on a major addition, and one of them said that they're going to do work as well. So I don't foresee it. Yeah.
Well, they're going to be given notification of this so they can, let you know, let us, really let us know.
I think it makes sense for you to socialize it with them before the public hearing as well.
Absolutely.
It's a major addition for you, but it's a relatively modest addition to the house when you look closely at the floor plan. The floor plans are included in the package.
Does it make a difference to us whether it is an existing three-bedroom house or a four-bedroom house as the town of Rhinebeck has it?
I talked to Kimberly about that, and she spoke to the assessor, and given where we are in the process, and we're petitioning to make it a five-bedroom house, the health department approves it. At that time, the town would go and update its records. If Andy wasn't doing this and we had just made this discovery, he's been paying taxes on a four-bedroom house for 21 years. We could have agreed that and been paying taxes on a three-bedroom house, but the processes are overlapping. So Kimberly's suggestion was to just suck it up, ride it out. Hopefully you get your approvals, and then the town will come. They're going to reassess anyway after the building.
Do you want to go through any floor plan?
Sure, very quickly. This is, you can go to the next one, the existing basement, garage plan. Existing floor plan, you can see one bedroom, two bedrooms, three bedrooms. That's it. Right now, Andy uses the basement for drumming and storing bikes and
And this is the proposed basement, so this is
proposed.
just the...
Yep, and there is an existing half bath in the lower level. We're proposing to improve that, finish this area off with, how many children and how many grandchildren?
4 children, 3 grandchildren.
And when they're all there, it's a small house. So finish this off here, go, the, the deck above that you'll see in the next slide creates the opportunity to have sort of a carport under the deck. This is the outline of the proposed two-bedroom addition. It does not have a basement. It'll have a crawl space. Next slide. Here we're proposing to reorganize the house. There's a very small kitchen tucked over here in the corner. We're proposing a larger kitchen, given that the family spends most of the summer there, an outdoor eating area, screened-in porch, existing bedroom, existing bedroom, existing bedroom, no change, 2 new bedrooms and a bathroom. Existing building elevations. I don't think we have proposed elevations, but we do have them in the 3D model.
That would be good.
We'll bring those,
Yeah.
for sure. That'll be more illustrative. I think that covers it.
Yeah, this was the visual that you had done. This is just for the board. I did go on Google Earth because I had a meeting with Scott. We talked about that pond. So this is what the pond, just in case it looks familiar to you, this was that wetlands taken on Google Earth. In case it looks more familiar to you. And this is a Google Earth image. And then that's kind of all that's really visible.
We got lucky in the timing of this application in a way, because we were able to represent the board the worst case scenario. And we've been in situations where we're representing other applicants and we're just providing the visual simulation, where we had to wait 7 or 8 months in order to do a credible representation that would withstand an Article 78 proceeding. So, could have been worse.
So those visuals that you provided in that set, that was all recently taken?
Yes, I can tell you the exact date if it wasn't referenced in the memo, but
Okay.
yeah, those are, I think, when I first submitted Gretchen, that's when you suggested that I bring the visuals, so they're within the last 3 weeks.
Questions, concerns?
So you gotta pull a bunch of permits.
I'm sorry?
You gotta pull a bunch of permits. And,
Yeah, and we have not completed the construction documents. I advised Andy that it would be prudent to get through this process to feel comfortable about having us advance the plans. But, so, public hearing, following meeting, that puts us late winter. So we'll have an aggressive push to finish up the plans in the spring, assuming that this board looks favorably upon the request. We need to line up a contractor, so I think summer is probably our best hope for actually putting a shovel in the ground. And we've got the health department. You know, it's also conceivable that we could execute the project in a phased manner, like get the screen porch on so they could utilize it. That's relatively straightforward. And do it in a phased way so that it doesn't destroy his opportunity to have the family around through the summer.
can ZBA approve if the septic isn't approved?
It's not our, bailiwick.
We usually have a condition,
Yeah.
usually have
So
a
we have a
condition that
conditional
says that
approval,
if
yeah.
the variance is
That's what
granted,
they-
it doesn't absolve them from getting further.
That's a standard boilerplate that we have in the end.
We're anticipating a fairly smooth review with the health department because the application was made a long time ago. It was under full review. They had a couple of comments. Those comments precipitated us doing a exposure of the system. So it went back in, I want to say, about a month ago as a revision to an open application, which according to our engineer, and Mark could chime in on this, it's not going back to the bottom of the pile. It's already in review. So,
And it really doesn't matter to us. I mean, it's nice to know about it, but again, as Kim mentioned, we have a boilerplate provision right towards the end of the resolution saying that you have to get, whatever else you have to get, you gotta get, just because we give you a variance doesn't mean anything else with regard to the other matters. So,
You could potentially approve something and then help to
Right.
put the kibosh on.
correct, absolutely, yeah. Or the planning board for anything, anybody else, any other agency that's involved. We're just very narrow, all we do is variances and interpretations. All right, any questions, concerns? All right, then
Could I make one suggestion, please?
Sure.
In addition to the renderings that you're providing, in the survey map that you have, as you showed, you have the setback here shown to the existing, where that is, the 49-foot setback.
yep.
Would you mind putting like a little measurement for the setback?
Happily, I think it's on the next sheet just because of the scale of
Okay.
the drawing. We did an
I
inset.
think- Is there an inset?
This-
I see.
Yeah, so if you zoom in on the top right,
50-foot setback.
right,
Sorry, I'm looking at
so that shows the setback line here. But I can add, and if you zoom in, you'll see it's
See if
it's
it's,
a fairly modest encroachment.
yes, it's a 50.
So we've just got a small sliver of the bathroom bedroom addition. It's really the porch, the screen porch that is
Yeah, so could
encroaching.
do you have, I don't see, do you have like an actual measurement from like the edge to the,
I'll give you one, but
yeah, just so we just can confirm that the variance you're seeking is the correct.
well, here.
That's the worst part
Oh,
right there.
okay.
15 feet 3 inches
Yeah.
into
Okay,
the setback.
Okay, that's fine. Thank you. I just wanted to just make sure we have those numbers.
Frankly, if it wasn't for this being such an important feature for his family, we'd be able to work this so we wouldn't need a variance to get the bedrooms and everything. But this is such a key feature when you have your entire family there during late spring to early fall for gathering. We thought it was worth making the request, and hopefully you look favorably upon it.
I think I talked to Gretchen about this already, but they have a signed owner authorization too. Okay. I understand that. So no, nothing else from me.
Okay. Then I would make a motion that we accept the application subject to the additional information you're going to provide us. Do I have a second?
Second.
All right, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Meeting here for January 15th. All right, your neighbors will be notified about this and can come, or they can just provide emails or letters or whatever, but they'll be notified, and it's not a bad idea, as was suggested, to chat with them and let them know what you're doing. So, anyway, great.
Thank
Well,
you.
look forward to getting all that information.
Thank you.
Alrighty, so our council has suggested that this is a type of action under 617.5C16, the granting of individual setback and lot line variances and adjustments. That makes sense. So I make a motion that we accept the recommendation of our council. Do I have a second?
Second.
All right, all in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Thank you.
Sorry.
Hey, attention, come on. I'm telling you. Anyway, all right, so, okay, you can be appointed. You sure? Okay.
I could be point two, you know.
You can do that, do you want to do that?
Well, okay. And I'm trying to see, just the planning board
Just
on
planning
the
board
road.
referral, yeah.
Okay. Anything else?
I don't think so.
Okay. Alrighty, so that takes care of our new applications, which brings us to the public hearing. And the first public hearing that is on is the Traver matter. Is there anybody here for that?
Do me?
Come on up. Okay, hello again.
Hi, again.
So, is there anybody here for the Traver matter? Okay. So, you get an opportunity to speak if you like, ask questions, voice your opinion. After the application has been explained, please feel free to come on up, state your name, and ask the questions, and let us know how you feel, okay? All right. So if you could just take us through, I know we've gone through the application before, but again, we need to go through it, and would you prefer that I make a motion to open the public hearing?
Yes, please.
At this time, I make a motion to open the public hearing. Do I have a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
All right, take it away.
Standard 30 by 40 garage with two 10-foot tall, 12-foot wide garage doors. I need 3 variances. One for the size of the structure, it is 257 square feet larger than the dwelling. And then I need 2 property line variances for the south line and the east line, which I have written. I've sent in some emails from the executor of the estate of Katie Hagan, but he takes no issues with us building that close to his property line.
Okay, is that this?
There are 3 letters. There
Okay.
is one from Mr. Ray Fagan. He is the property owner that I need the variances from, well, on that side. Then the other one is from my neighbor to the north, Sharon Stewart. she will be able to see one corner of the structure.
This is the Fagan property.
That's the Fagan property.
This is where the garage is located.
Yes.
And
Sharon Stewart is right here. There's a letter from her because she will be able to see a corner. She takes no issue with it. And then I also had another letter from Upstate Holdings. He owns the property across from us, and he takes no issue with the garage either.
No, I'm sorry, I don't have,
Here's another, just to show you, and this is Equiston
Yep.
Holdings, this is Sharon
Yes.
Stewart property,
Yes.
this is Great Fagan property.
Yes.
This is the applicant's property in the garage.
did you say it?
Correct.
I apologize, I'm looking for the letters, I can't find them. I kind of have a vague recollection,
I can bring them up if you want.
yeah, that'd be nice, but I have a
So
vague recollection of receiving them, which is not printing down, so I apologize.
this is a quick letter from Sharon
Okay.
Stewart, saying she takes no issues with it. Then there's a letter from, it's right here, glad to hear you're getting a new garage, good luck with everything. That's from the estate. And then the Ray Fagan one, it's kind of a bit of a.
We had a little bit of an
discussion,
exchange
but the
because he had questions. So we went over everything, and ultimately, at the end, he said we would have no objections from him.
And that's nice to see that you're going back and forth, that we encourage people to do that with their neighbors and answer the questions, so
We
we
live on a
understand.
one-lane private dirt road that's been abandoned.
Yeah.
So the neighbors are the ones who maintain the neighborhood. So it's a pretty tight communication amongst everyone.
Scott, if you need, I can forward these to you. They were submitted, but this was kind of the
I think
end of
you-
the conversation.
Yeah, that's fine for me, and I think they're buried in 1,000 emails that I have. So I'll try to get them done. They're part of the record, and that's the important thing. I may have asked you this the first time around, is this staked out?
There is one stake still in the ground. The other ones landed in the middle of the yard. I kept tripping over them, so my husband took them out.
Okay.
He will gladly measure off and put them back. It's
When we decide to come out there, which we'll coordinate with you, typically we go out on a Saturday.
It would be within a matter of taking 10 minutes.
Yeah, okay. So we'll need that when we go out there,
Fine.
we'll coordinate with you.
No issue.
What works for you, what's convenient for you. Let's see. Anybody else? Anybody want to be heard on the application? Come on up.
I'm Scott Martin.
Okay, why don't you come on up and introduce yourself, and if you have any questions, concerns, tell us how you feel. So, your name, please?
We're good. Scott Martin.
Okay,
I'm
please.
a neighbor of Joe and Val. And as far, like she said, our road was abandoned by the town years ago, so it's deemed a private road. No, general consensus of all the neighbors, nobody has a problem with it. You know, if you go past Joe's house, there's not a leaf out of place. You know, the place is beautiful. You know, he wants to put his toys in, you know? So, like I got a little thing here, other thing I got going with the zone, that 2737, I made 3 copies, I think we want them.
What do you have?
Well, on this here, this guy, you know, I've taken his name in already, but, you know, he's running businesses out of, you know, out of the garage.
Well, this is somebody else.
It's not somebody else.
Okay.
They tell them, they're like, you know, we live on a private road, we maintain the road, we take care of the road.
Right.
You know, I don't really see why it's a big deal to them. You know what I mean, and this guy, you know,
Well-
I'm bringing a packet in for you guys to look at. Like, this is right out in the front for the town to see. We got left on the wayside.
Right.
You know what I mean? So, his building he wants to put up, the general consensus is no problem. I have no problem with it, what size it is, you know, that it's bigger. You know, if he wanted to go bigger, we'd have no problem with it. And so that's basically what I have to say.
Do you have a copy of this, by the way?
Yeah.
Okay, good. I mean, if you have any complaints.
Yeah, I'm
you
not
can
pretty
put it down.
smart. So I'm pretty
I
good.
appreciate it.
No problem, thanks.
Thank you. Thanks, Scott.
Yeah.
There was a picture, it looked like
Yep.
vehicles and lifts and all that kind of stuff. Were these the actual
No, those are not the actual vehicles, just so that we have clarification of the difference between a storage lift and a lift to work on vehicles. I know there was a concern about whether or not you'd be using chainsaws on vehicles.
There was?
It was a question. So this is a storage lift. At DC, you put a car on it, you lift it up, it gets stored there. That's it. It doesn't bring it up and down for work or maintenance. Which is why we were requesting the height of the garage.
Right.
Which is only 3 feet taller than the home.
I agree.
I did not ask about chainsaws, I was just, the reason I asked about the
I
cars is
wanted to
that
make
I
sure
was
that there
jealous.
wasn't.
And I was just like,
But I don't.
those are nice cars.
So.
Well, I told you that the agreement is there's no more cars to be bought until we have a garage to put them in. We're out of space.
We don't deal with domestic issues.
No, we are
just deal with variances.
out of room. I've got motorcycles and spare bedrooms.
We do
We're-
indirectly.
Well, indirectly, but no, we don't deal with domestic issues.
So that's where we're at. I just wanted to clarify what a
Well,
storage
this will
lift.
help apparently.
Usually.
All right. Anybody else want to be heard or?
So there's a big bedroom for the cars.
Yes, yes.
What, if you don't mind me asking, what are you going to put in there? What kind of cars?
He has a 78 Blazer, that's an LS swap that he's currently has in a machine shop putting a turbo in. He also has a 27-foot performance race boat. That will be stored in the garage because you don't want to leave that outside. He has a 78 Honda CB750 Cafe Racer, a collection of dirt bikes, snowmobiles, and it's to be determined whether he's going for a Porsche or a Land Rover. Big dreams, right?
So the vehicles are going to be stored in this, if this can be built, and nothing will be, and the boat too is.
That's, again, the height of the doors. The boat is 9'6", so we need the 10-foot door in order to get the boat in. His primary vehicle is 11 feet wide, side mirror to side mirror, so the 12-foot doors are so that he can fit his vehicle, back his vehicle into the garage.
It's not our purview. What do you put in there?
Just
curiosity.
Just curiosity, it's interesting.
It's fine.
It's interesting.
And actually, it's given us some more information about why you need what you need.
Right,
And
exactly.
so that's why I asked the
You
question.
mean a motorcycle and spare bedroom's not enough reason?
It doesn't explain why you need a
Yes.
door a certain size and things like that.
Yes, no, there was thought put into the size.
Yeah.
I mean, 11 foot wide, it leaves 6 inches on either side to back a truck in.
And those are important things for us to know as to why you're asking what you're asking for.
And when you pulled up the aerial footage last time, you can see that I have a boat in my driveway, 2 cars in the driveway. You know, so the goal is to get everything,
Clean the yard.
clean up the yard. Like Scott said, there's not a leaf out of place.
I don't have any questions. Anybody have any questions? Last chance for the audience. Anybody have any questions?
Before you close the public hearing, Scott, so the planning board had some comments. I think you, sounds like you addressed them.
No, I have not dealt with the planning board yet. This was,
They had some comments. I think you have addressed most of them, but if you wouldn't mind, we can just go through them real quick.
Yeah, go through
Sure.
it.
It seemed like your letter, you really went on point with it. So that's why I was.
we're due to break ground in March. I'd like to get the concrete poured as soon as possible so it has time to cure. So we're just trying to stay as diligent and on top of everything as we can to expedite this process so that we can.
So as you know, we sent a referral out to the planning board. The planning board had several comments. One was that the planning board was not sure what the use of the garage would be and why the garage doors are so tall, which you addressed. Garage is a large structure compared to the existing house. It seems to overwhelm the site and the existing home and is in stark contrast to the existing home. Kind of addressed a little bit of that, and your letter kind of explained the
Why?
distance, but then the board had,
Also, in addition to that, the Equity State Holdings across the street from me their building's gotta be 80 by 100. It is huge. So my garage is really nothing in comparison to that.
And that's another important part, because we have to deal with, how is this going to affect the neighborhood? If you have something across the street that's twice the size.
And again, it's a one-lane private dirt road.
Right.
If you don't live there,
That's-
you've got no reason to be there.
Can I say one thing?
Sure.
You can't even see their house from a town, state, or county road. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
You have to be on our private road to see anything.
What if there's 3 houses on the private road?
Now it's like 10.
There's 10.
Yeah, yeah.
I
It
only
used to
have
be-
letters from the 3 people that will possibly see when they leave to go somewhere.
Yeah. It used to be the old state route 9G, way, way back, you know? And then it got pushed and pushed and pushed, and then here we are. It's a beautiful dirt road now.
This is a large structure that might seem somewhat similar to what could be seen on a farm. If the garage were to be designed to be more like a barn, maybe with a 1 garage door, for instance, it might be more appropriately fit into the landscape. It was felt that the large white garage doors were imposing and might be more appropriate to be the same color as the siding, thereby somewhat camouflaging the door into the structure.
My house is green, white, and tan. The garage is designed to match the house. And we drove down the road. 5 of the people who live on our road have white garage doors. So why my doors are any different? You have white doors?
I got white doors.
Uh-oh.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm not paying them, so. That is what it is.
The garage doors are not available in the same color as the structure. The garage doors are standard. They're white, cream, tan. So the house is green and white. That's what we're matching. And if everybody else gets to have a white door, why can't I?
Site plan does not show the driveway extending to the garage doors. If it's going to be extended, it should be shown on the site plan and calculated as part of the lot coverage, as gravel used for parking spaces is considered to be impervious surface.
Which I'm confused by that. Are they asking whether or not I intend to?
I think it's that on the site plan, it might not be shown, maybe. I can't remember.
Doesn't the picture show it?
Okay, so he didn't, all right, it's not extended on the survey.
But you can see it on the photograph.
Yes.
These are just their referral comments.
And I
And we have to
wasn't
go
sure,
through this stuff.
are they asking for pavement or?
I think they just, what they're saying is that there's, so under the bulk standards, if it's considered an impervious surface, it's part of the lot coverage. So I think we just want to make sure that you're not exceeding the lot coverage area. So you said it's going to be gravel. And then the last comment is with the 2 existing structures being removed, the placement of a single new structure, the proposed garage may be an enhancement if designed correctly.
The 1 structure has already been removed. The 1 that is remaining is housing everything that was in the other structure and needs to go in the garage once it's built.
And the reason to go through this, we have to address this in a resolution.
Completely understood.
They did make a referral, and they did bring up these issues, so.
Yeah, I think I addressed all of
And the
them.
important thing is you're addressing them right now.
And there's a
we're
looker there
answering a lot
from
of these
somebody.
questions.
So it really was on point.
Yeah, no, I gave you a pretty good PowerPoint presentation about where answering all these questions. Again, we're due to break ground in March. I want to get the concrete in as soon as possible.
Okay, that's all. I just didn't know if the board had any additional comments to.
No, but I'm glad you brought all those issues up. I had not seen this part in the email somewhere. I'm sure you sent it to me.
These might be good to have in mind when you do the site visit too.
Yeah. I'll have to go through the emails again. All right, so any other questions, concerns? Okay. No?
I also have the green certificates from the certified man. Okay.
So I'm going to make a motion that we close the public hearing. Do I have a second?
Second.
Okay, all in favor? Aye. All right, so we have 62 days to do a resolution, but we don't wait that long. It'll be ready by the 15th of January. And that's typically what our process. In the meantime, we're going to have to come out there and take a look at the property. We typically like to go on like Saturdays. Is that okay, or
I mean, if we have,
or Sundays or whatever?
we snowmobile, so we spend our weekends in the winter upstate snowmobiling, so we can, if we could try to make a weekday work,
We could make a weekday work, I think.
or if we have enough
I mean,
notice.
some of us are not retired.
If we
I'm very
had,
jealous.
if
so,
we had to make. a
we can do it
Sat-
during the week, that's not a problem. What's a good day? What's a good, like, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday? whatever?
Any day during the week is fine.
Okay.
We can make any day, weekday work.
All right, well, we'll figure it out amongst us, and we'll probably do it within the next 2 weeks.
Snow's limited, so,
I understand.
sorry.
We'll figure it out with Gretchen, I think, right? We can figure out a date. We'll circulate, and then, and let you know, and obviously get out there before it gets dark. But we'll give you plenty of time to get those stakes, and that's an important thing, so we know the general layout. Okay?
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
So for drafting a resolution, can you give me some?
I have no problem.
Direction with it?
Subject to the site inspection, I have no problem with it. It makes sense, given where it is and the purposes. The reason, it's been articulated, the reason why the doors have to be a certain height, and it has to be a certain height. It makes sense to me. So I have no quarrel with it, like, I defer to my colleagues.
The neighbors who border the property have written positive remarks.
Absolutely. And we have a person live who's actually supported it, so.
It's an abandoned road by the town.
Depending on when it's in the session, or I may just go drive down the road a couple of times, I can give you some.
Yeah, that would be great, we need it.
Okay. Is this Joe's on this one?
Yes.
Okay. All right, so figure it out.
And yeah, I can reach out to Joe before you guys do the site visit. I'll just recirculate that referral, the planning board referral. Just again, just some key to just keep an eye out for. I think most of them have been addressed, but you can address them in the resolution.
Yep.
I think I covered everything that they had on.
I think you did.
Yeah. I mean, I'm an overachiever on this stuff, so.
Well, it makes it easier to create a resolution when you covered all the questions, so to speak, and it makes sense, so. But anyway, to get back into my thought is it's fine, and I'm in favor of it, but I defer to the rest of the gang, since this is a democracy.
Concur.
No problems. Okay. So I would write it up in the affirmative, subject to a site visit, but I'm sure it's going to be fine. Okay. Thank you. Thank you very much. Thank you for coming. Okay, so next we have Rhinebeck Equine. Is there somebody here for that? Yes. Come on in. Okay, so this is here for a public hearing. What I should have done on the last one, but I'll do in this one, is to make a motion to open the public hearing. Do I have a second?
Second.
Okay, all in favor? Aye. All right,
You
so,
did do it in the last one.
yeah. Did I do it? I did.
Yeah.
Oh, I did, okay. Amazing. No, it's getting late. Anyway, so you saw what occurred beforehand. What we need you to do is just kind of go through the application. Is there anybody here for this application who may want to speak? Or just here for support?
Yeah, I parked there.
No, the reason I ask is I like to tell people in the audience that what to expect, and they have the opportunity to come up and all that kind of stuff. So, if you could just take us through the application. And,
My name is Ryan Morrison. I'm from Pine and Bond. We're here today representing Rhinebeck Equine, who's looking for a site plan amendment to bring into realization some improvements that have happened on the site over the years without the proper permit approvals, as well as propose some new improvements on site that they'd be looking to do within the following year. So would you mind posting the site plan up for me so I can point to a couple of features?
The proposed one or the new one?
The proposed one, please. So as I said, there was a couple of existing structures that were on site that were installed without planning board approval or zoning board approval. And those improvements include a small 180 square foot storage shed, 2 576 shed row barns. The shed row barns are there to house horses when they come into the site. There was a proposed, or there is a parking area that was installed, that's installed in the front yard area. And then there was signage that was on site. I believe the signage was on site for historically the whole time, was just never codified in a site plan. And so as we're updating the site plan amendment, we want to make sure we get all the signage on site. The proposed new improvements that are being proposed here is there's a new front entrance sign. This new front entrance sign is 11 square feet, which is actually per side, which is actually smaller than the previous sign, but because it's double-sided, it's going to be greater than the existing sign on site. They are also proposing a 10,000 or a 1,080 square foot paddock barn in the front area. This paddock barn here is being provided to house horses after they've had a procedure done. There's time to get them out to the paddocks, walk them, a place to keep them. Kind of an inpatient and outpatient thing when you think of shed row barns versus paddocks. Another proposed improvement is an 800 square foot gravel access road to get the horses down to the paddock barn from the existing paved surface. That gravel access road is being provided there outside of the parking area. Just because we didn't want to have to relocate any parking, we don't want to mix vehicle traffic and equine traffic and try and keep those things all separate. Another proposed improvement that I hadn't touched on was there's some landscaping. The proposed, or the previously provided gravel parking area for trailers was in the front yard. We understand that when possible, we like to screen parking when it's in the front yard. So we're proposing some landscaping in that area. The reason we're in front of the zoning board today is because the number of accessory structures exceeds what's allowed on site. Two of the structures are in the front yard, which requires a variance. The total square foot area for the accessory structures exceeds the allowed 1,500 square feet. And the number of sign on site exceeds the number of total allotted signs. Total number of signs and sign area exceeds the number allowed for the site. Is there any questions from the board?
So when you say the front yard, is Route 9 up there on the upper left? I mean, is it 9?
Lasse Lane is what we used. I'm not really sure myself. I guess I would. Okay, I had it wrong. Perfect. Thank you. Thank you. So yeah, Lasse Lane is the front yard, and so because the primary structure is situated so far back from the site, it's physically impossible for us to locate these structures in the backyard. There's some environmental considerations and topography considerations at the back.
Yeah, I can show you, Richard, it's a little bit easier if you look at here's an aerial map. Here it is in yellow. So you see that even though it's kind of facing Route 9, it's really more of a side yard setback. This was the road.
Yeah.
And so this is where the paddock's going to be. So here's the principal structure. Paddock's around here, so it's a little bit closer to this road as opposed to Route 9. And I just want to we had asked for a collection of the signs, which you have provided, so I just wanted to go through that for the record. If you want to stop at any point, let me know, but I think we're mostly understanding. So you said, if you have one question, you said the new sign is
I may have messed up numbers.
But, no, so the current sign is one-sided, 22 by 20, that's it?
I did have the numbers wrong. So the existing sign is 11.75 square feet, but it's one-sided and it faces the road.
Okay.
If you drive up to it, because it's facing parallel to the road, it's very difficult for your eyes to catch it. We'd like to turn the sign perpendicular. We're actually making the sign smaller in physical area. So it's going from 11.75 square feet to 8 square feet. But because now the sign is perpendicular and double-sided, it's actually 16 square feet. This sign, which is also provided right along The road there is one we propose to remove. Once we turn the other sign perpendicular to the road and it can be visualized from both directions, that sign kind of doesn't serve a purpose anymore.
Kim, do we still have the information that we gathered from the Ruby application about all the signs in the area going up and down?
Yeah, they would be part of it. I don't know if they don't think they went quite this far.
They didn't go
down
this
it.
far, but it's still kind of in the area. It's just important to note
Yeah,
that there's so
well,
many
those are-
signs that are bigger.
Yeah, I don't know if they were necessarily even about they were being bigger. I think the Rudy's was more about front yard setback.
Okay.
I think that's
Was
mostly.
it the
what-
Reichert one? Maybe it was there's been a bunch
Reichert,
of them.
I can- yeah,
Not
I'm
the
sure.
old Reichert.
Yeah, I know.
It
which
was
one.
Reichert.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was-
Yes, I can probably find it.
Yeah, that might be helpful too, just to note that there's so many signs in the area that are bigger.
I think it was Mark who put all that together. It was he did a great job doing that.
Yeah, Mark Kaminsky did that.
Yep.
That's something we should really retain because we keep having that issue in those areas. Oh, there you are.
Can we use your sign? Research?
I'll take my name off it and you can use it.
No, you should get credit for it.
I appreciate it.
Did very well done.
Okay, absolutely.
I have that photo.
Huh?
That's well.
I kept that, it's great. Yeah. Makes a nice poster.
So I'm just going through the signs. If anybody wants me to stop or slow down, just let me know. But I think they're, for the most part, pretty self-explanatory. This is in a residential zone. I was just talking about this with Richard. It's a residential zone, and in a residential zone, the sign regulations are one sign per establishment. So a lot of these signs that they need the variance for are internal signs. Some of them directional, some of them required for ADA purposes or safety purposes.
Not visible from the site, they're way back.
That was an issue with Ruby. I remember.
Yeah, I was just, Ruby's had a lot of internal directional signs, so I just wanted to just explain
Yeah.
the reason why it is because it's in a residential zone.
And a lot of the reasons for, when you guys do make a site visit, a lot of the reasons we'll explain for having the wayfinding signage is, when you think about someone who's trying to go to a veterinary hospital, maybe an emergency situation with a large vehicle, sometimes in the dark. And so you really want them to find their place quickly and not have to circle back around or be turning onto neighbors' properties. And so this signage has kind of been added over time as a way to alleviate those issues from our neighbors. Obviously, we don't want to cause, other issues sharing a road. Additionally, I think you guys asked for, sorry, I wasn't at the last meeting, but I believe you guys asked for like a 3D rendering of it. We had given you a visual simulation of it from the roadway, but this was the 3D rendering of the paddock barn. After I think we provided this information, I believe the planning board did send a letter with a couple of comments. One of the comments was in regards to the signage and making a site visit so that you guys understand the amount of signage on site. And the second comment was in regards to whether there was a master plan for the site if we planned on an additional development. And really kind of out of necessity of needing to get a site plan amendment for the improvements that were made without. The paddock barn was kind of the end of the site plan amendment. We asked if there was anything else that was going to be provided on site. So this kind of is the master plan for the facility.
Yep, so this is just a planning board referral, as Ryan had said, and so they said they didn't really have no significant concern with the signage, but when you do the site visit, just take a note of the sign if you think all the signs are necessary. And then, I was at the planning board meeting, so I was gonna say the same thing, but yeah, they asked if there was a master plan, and they said that this is pretty much what's proposed.
Questions, concerns?
No more, let me visit the site.
Yes. Okay. All right, then I'll make Kim, anything else? We've gone over the planning board issue or issues. Okay, great. So I'll make a motion.
Did you just double check to make sure, so that no public comment?
Yeah. No, I already asked about it.
Yeah, I just
And then
figured after the presentation, in case something came up.
That's true. So anyway, I'll make a motion that we close the public hearing. Do I have a second?
Second.
Okay. All in favor?
Aye.
All right. That means we have 62 days to make a resolution, make a decision. We will have it available by the 15th, which is the next hearing date. You don't have to be here, but if you have nothing better to do on a Wednesday night, you can come and listen to it. We'll probably want to try to schedule it during the week, like, the same, maybe just before the last one. We might have usually been clumped
Yes.
together.
I would be happy to meet the board weekday or weekend, so let's say.
I prefer to have them together.
Keep them up together.
Yeah, we usually do keep it together,
Is
so.
it gonna be hard for you to do it in daylight though?
You know what, I'll make sure I can make it. Let's put it that way.
Sorry for not knowing. This is the planning board and zoning board come together, or is it, that's separate
No.
meetings? Okay.
Separate, yeah.
Great.
All right, so we'll coordinate with Gretchen. We'll probably come out, like say by the first or second week of January, probably the second week of January.
Is there any time for business operations? Okay.
Yeah, it's pretty tight.
It's pretty tight. Maybe towards the end of, we'll figure it out, but it'll be either the first or second week of January.
Gretchen can just send an email.
Yeah,
Happy to meet
we'll figure it
somebody.
out amongst us and get a date and give it to you and
Great.
and get out there, so.
Thank you so much.
Thank you very much.
Appreciate it.
Great.
Thank you.
So do you have initial deliberations? I know it will all depend on site
Yeah,
visit, but what are your
it's subject,
initial thoughts?
yeah, my initial thoughts are that it's fine, it makes sense. I like the rendering of the attic, I think that's sharp, and I think it's going to look good there. Yeah, everything seems to make sense. And the design issue is always in the way we do things. I just want to check here. So I have no quarrel with that whatsoever. That's just me, so that's my 2 cents.
I think the structure, location, all over time, and location.
I like the new landscaping that they're throwing in there too, that's nice.
No, I think it looks very nice. On the signage, I mean, maybe it could be a little bit more consistent throughout the property in terms of color and stuff, but that might require custom making the sign. I don't know if that's really necessary.
Well, I think that new signs there'll be, where it says horse crossing or danger because of oxygen, these are all different signs. That's just necessary stuff. I like the idea that they're turning the sign horizontal so you see it coming and going, and that makes sense. So,
No, we've had these issues with signage on every thoroughfare,
Well, especially during that corridor on 9 and 9G, right through there, the law really should be changed.
It should be changed.
And maybe that's something that, we have a couple of things that keep coming up that we should ask the town board about and see about trying to get some changes so we don't have to deal with it all the time.
I think there might be a place where they're open to thinking about some of those things.
But no, I think they are. I think they would be. It makes absolute
Put
sense.
something together that would be
Yeah.
helpful to them.
Okay,
Along
so
with the accessory structure, the garage gate.
that is, you know what, that's just insanity. How in the world that could be an accessory structure when it's attached to a house, I'll never know. And people come here and they look like we have 8 heads, and it's like, we don't disagree with you, but that's.
talking about the garage attached to the house?
Yeah, it's been like that forever since I've been on. It's crazy, so that should be changed, but anyway. All right, we digress. So that's it for the public hearings. We really just have one, we have a couple of matters under old business, but the first one is the Geyer case, and do you know who's assigned to this?
Said Joe.
Is it
Oh,
Joe?
Joe, yeah.
Sure, why not?
Not very loud, but,
Well, he'll do a fine job, I'm sure.
okay, so we're just doing,
Yes, so
Right, it
this
was-
was, I drafted a resolution based on the deliberations at the last meeting. It's drafted in the affirmative. I circulated this to the board on Monday, if you've had a chance to read it, and then it's been posted online, so it's been available to the public as well.
So you just have to read the resolution.
Okay.
Part of the.
this is the resolution of the Town of Rhinebeck Zoning Board of Appeals in the matter of the area variance application of rear ZBA case number 1063. And as was stated, the resolution is available online. To read the full resolution, for tonight's meeting, I'll read what is resolved. Now therefore be it resolved, based on all facts described above and upon the reasoning described above as follows. The ZBA hereby grants the variances requested by the applicant, finding that the benefit to the applicant outweighs the detriment to the health, safety, and welfare of the neighborhood or community by such grant. The sports court will be located a distance from Morton Road and will not be visible from the road or the Hudson River. The project was further redesigned to lessen the area variance required for the side yard setback and further redesigned to soften the retaining wall design to fit more naturally into the topography and contours of the property. Section 2, the granting of these variances is expressly contingent upon following. The proposed sports court must be constructed in conformity with the application and plans submitted, subject to any additional changes that may be required for the planning board review. Section 3, the granting of these variances shall also be expressly contingent upon the applicant's full payment to the town of Rhinebeck of any and all fees and escrow deposits due in connection with this application in full compliance with Article 14, fee reimbursement of the town of Rhinebeck zoning law. These variances shall not be deemed granted until all such fees are paid in full by the applicant. The granting of these variances does not absolve the applicant from having to secure any other required permits and/or approvals. Section 5, the area variances shall be null and void unless the proposed construction is commenced within 1 year of this resolution. Any further discussion from anybody, or?
No, it makes sense. I think the location, we want to do a site visit, the Three Amigos here, and we all felt that, it made sense where it was, and I think the newest plan is probably even better than the prior one, so I think that the objections or concerns of the planning board were actually made for a better final product. Not that I had a quarrel really with the initial ones, but I think the final product is actually the best yet. So I'm all for it. I think it makes sense. These two gentlemen. No comment.
I think where it is, away from everything, you can't see anything from Morton Road or even from the river. I think it's perfect what he's doing.
Okay.
All right, do you want to make a motion?
I make a motion to approve the resolution.
And would you like a second?
I would.
Okay, I'll second it.
Okay.
And,
Scott?
yes.
Catherine?
Yes.
Richard?
Yes.
And Brian?
Yes.
Wonderfully done. Okay, so it takes care of that then.
And Scott, there's just a quick, I just need to fill in the dates for when the WAC, did you send that to me, Gretchen?
Do you have the dates that we went out there?
Yes, it was, I think it was October 26th, I think it was when you did.
It was October 26th.
Was it?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Unless you're usually there.
So Scott, I would have a suggestion, being that Mark is here, would you like to have Rockledge go next?
That would be, sure, as a courtesy, that would be, yeah, absolutely. I was wondering why you were lurking around.
Yeah, I'll get that out there.
You and I are the only two that were around for that.
So, well, I have some maps and documents to go through with the board, but the reason that I'm here this evening is, so I've been working on a project on Acrocoke and Primrose Hill Road. Oh, here we go. Actually started the project in 2012. And so it's, the project's gone through various changes and has evolved. And it's now come to a point where we're going through, we're going through the secret phase with the town of Rhinebeck Planning Board. And we actually just completed, going through part 2 of the environmental assessment form for this project, which I'll quickly describe. And ultimately the proposal for this property. So this is, and so I'm just trying
I
to
think it's
remember.
just Catherine and Scott.
Yeah, we're the two.
Yeah,
That's the Rhinebeck project.
So for the board, the last time it was in front of the ZBA was 2020,
Okay,
so.
right, so just, and I'll go quickly, I know it's been a long.
Is this the
right?
daytop?
Yes,
The old daytop.
the old daytop.
So here's Ackerhook Road, here's Primrose Hill Road, right here. Total parcel size is 136 acres. It's the old daytop facility. It had initially, had 2 points of access, right through here. Here's a driveway. This is, and on this property, it's a historic property. So there's several historic structures located on the property. There's a manor house, there's a gatehouse that's located through here. There's other structures, all historic on the property. And so this application is for development of its condominium project. And so and it's located, as I said before, it's 136 acres located in the RC5 zone. And the proposal for the project is twofold. It's ultimately it's all condominiums, but because it's a historic property, there's also a section of the code, the Rhinebeck Code, that allows for adaptive reuse of historic structures. And so the goal is to utilize the historic structures on the property and create units in those historic structures, along with the development of new units on the property. If you could go to the second sheet, please, Tim. And so this is the redevelopment. It's gone through, as I just I quickly mentioned. There's been so many different phases that this particular project has gone and ultimately evolved to what you see here. And so once again, right, so here's a manor house right here, historic property. There's two structures that are located here. There's like a gatehouse and there's an old chapel. There's a carriage house located in this that is also historic. And so we've gone through all like conditions of the site plan have been developed and approved by the planning board, and now we're going through seeker to try to finalize the project and move forward. I'll note that there's also central water, central sewer on the property. That was all part of Daytop. There's a sewage treatment plant here, ultimately discharges through there. Water supply has been redeveloped on the property, studied and considered for, and has adequate supply for this project. Looked at all the adjoining owners to make sure there were no impact on the adjoining owners. That is complete. But in developing this property, so these are the clusters of the new units. And so there's a total of 36 condominium units that are being proposed on the property. And the density was developed by, in the RC5 zone, and in for this particular property, there's a formula to develop density. And so in utilizing that, you have to, consider slopes, consider wetlands. All the wetlands have been, you can see there's quite a few wetlands. This is state wetland, everything else is federal. And then there's the associated 100-foot adjacent area you can see in the dashed line. So you can see it's, there's quite a bit of wetlands on the property. You can see in the development, we try to avoid all that. And so in order to maximize the development potential of the property, this also allows for as I said before, the adaptive reuse of these historic structures. And so what was done is, there's actually 3 lots that are on this property. And can you go to the next one that shows the subdivision map? And here it is, right? So there's 3 parcels. And so there's one parcel right here. Then there's another parcel that goes like this, goes around this, comes back, and goes like that. And then the third parcel is the balance of the property. And so the rationale in developing these 3 parcels was, once, remember I said you have to, for the net density on the property, you have to consider wetlands, steep slopes, etc. And so in the rationale in developing these individual parcels, there were 2 key things, is to be able to utilize, create a legal lot, create a lot in this a legal lot for RC5 zoning, which I did. I mean, the shapes are a little odd, but the reason for that is with consideration of the wetlands and the steep slopes, when those couldn't be utilized in developing this, that was land that was available for creation of an individual lot. And so then this is an old stone structure, this is a historic structure here. So this lot was created to allow a development of 4 units on this parcel. The same thing for the manor house. Development, it's a legal lot, allowable 4 units on that property. That's what's allowed by zoning. But when you take a look at the difference in size for the 2 structures, it's a very large structure, and this is very small. So application was made to this board in order to only put 2 units in this parcel, and then put 6 units in this parcel. And so what was also done, what was also provided as part of that is, showing, and I have all the documents here tonight, whether you want to go see, go through them, but all the, interior floor plans were developed for that just have 2 units in here and 6 units in there, utilizing, the size of the buildings. And so what's also part of this application is, because they are historic structures, the owner of the property, the owner and developer, has decided to, work with SHPO and the National Park Service to get monies in order to restore these historic structures. So that's also part of the application that's been ongoing. So ongoing right now is with, the planning board going through seeker. I mentioned, like, this is, sewage treatment plant here, so it's application to the Dutchess County Health Department and New York State DEC for redevelopment of this sewage treatment plant and all the collection system associated with the structures here. Same thing, there's central water on here, so it's also coordination with the New York State Health Department and Dutchess County Health Department for water supply.
If I may, so we've been through this before, so is there something that's changed, or am I missing something, or?
Well, I think we have to just renotice it, don't we, for the public hearing?
So it's a renotice.
What do you need?
It was on for public hearing, and then because of all the issues, we put it over, and then it was kind of mothballed for a while.
Correct.
And so now it sounds like it's progressed to the point where we can renotice it for the public hearing, and Mark's just trying to give an overview for you guys, because I know that we know the project well.
We all.
I don't know.
You don't?
Yeah.
For some reason, no.
Well, you weren't here in 2017 or 2020.
Unless you were just an Apple CBA meeting.
Unless I'm losing my mind, I've seen this before, say.
Not here, not in
Not in the context
You
of...
haven't been on the board long enough.
Yeah, this was in 2020, I remember it. Because the buildings are beautiful, and it was just, the manor house was gorgeous and everything else, I remember.
Okay, forgive me, then maybe you presented at the planning board when I was there.
We've presented to the planning board for 10 years.
Okay, well, I was presenting to, okay, got it, forgive me.
No.
So I know it's late, I was just trying, I was just
No,
trying to
we
fast track
appreciate it,
it.
yeah.
I
And,
apologize.
so we have to renotice it and then do another site inspection probably, and at least for these guys. I'd like to go out again, just
Yeah.
to see it.
I don't think did we just go inside the building?
We didn't go, no, we actually were on like a little, I want to say, did we drive around in?
We walked around the building some, but we didn't get.
We didn't go inside. I don't know if it's safe enough to go
Yeah,
inside.
it is,
So,
it's okay to go.
It's okay?
inside, Yeah.
but that'd be
We
cool.
just didn't have keys for whatever.
Well, and then we kind of drove around and I
We just
remember.
drove around and now, and like, and it's since, 2020, minor changes, but basically, it's basically the same.
Again, sorry, I saw this presentation at the planning board.
You want to go out and do a site visit because it's a nice site. It's worth it.
Yeah, it's,
I'm happy to.
But we'll renotice it for the public hearing.
Okay.
And then after that, we'll do a site
If I
inspection.
remember, there will be a lot of interest in the public hearing.
Yes.
Yes.
I don't know if anyone, I don't remember anyone coming to the ZBA for the public hearing. Plenty at the planning board, but I don't know.
I think,
People are due since like.
True, that's true.
I think there were people who came to our meeting on this.
I just have a question on this, because I don't know the project. Are there commercial buildings in here?
No.
There's no restaurants or anything
No.
like that? It's totally,
That was considered at one time.
Right, okay.
It's strictly residential,
Good.
36 residential units, that's it. Of these clusters, it's 4 units per
yeah,
cluster,
yeah,
right? And then, so the only change is 2 units here and 4 units in the manor, excuse me, 6 units in the manor house, that's it. And that's the only area, that's the only variance that's being requested at this board.
thank you. Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah, so everything in terms of other procedures, everything has been done already. It had already been accepted as a complete back in 2019. Seeker, it's currently, as Mark said, it's currently in front of the planning board. They have gone through part 2. They're likely, I think it's, was it January they're hoping to issue their determination, I think? I don't know. Anyway, planning board is lead agency. They're working very hard on seeker. And, it had already been open for public hearing. It just had been delayed until a date uncertain.
Right, no, I remember
So-
putting it over. Is there a way to get a Clip Notes version of the application? Because I don't.
Of this,
Yeah.
so we've done, I have a great PowerPoint that
Okay.
really summarizes, like,
That'd be great.
we did it through the years,
Okay.
and then it just summarizes everything.
Through the years.
No, that'd be,
No,
fall, winter, spring.
I'll get that to.
Get it to Gretchen, she can circulate it, just
Right.
so we can reacquaint ourselves.
It
with
is.
these fellows again.
It's a great summary.
Yeah.
It's easy.
I would imagine now that all your materials are digital, so they can be posted
Yeah.
on this and all of that.
Yeah.
Yeah, they're all posted actually on the planning board.
And
Google Drive.
Our whole remit on this is just that one question about having 6 units in one building and 2 in the other.
That's
the
it.
only
That's
thing
it.
That was it.
Okay.
That
I
was
just wanted
it.
to make sure.
That's it.
And, hopefully it makes sense.
So
I like
also,
the project.
also included with this, there's, so the architect we presented here tonight, Scott Dutton, he's actually the architect on the project too. All of Dutton's drawings are detailed on this for showing the new, floor plans and layouts for the new units, because they're all different, they're all a little bit different. Reconfigured in the same, that information is also showed for, is included for, the 2 unit and the 6 unit here. That's included in this package that I sent here. I didn't include all the drawings. You don't need all the design drawings for it. So it's just these 3 to try to, summarize along with this. And then I'll also provide, I'll get to this board that document that really summarizes everything.
So we're going to put it on for the 15th. Is that it, January 15th?
Yes,
Okay,
please.
great.
Okay, thank you.
15th will be public?
Yes, it's a continuation because
Okay.
Did we actually, no, we didn't have a public hearing.
We did.
Did we actually have it open?
Yeah, I have it that it was open back in May
Whoa, okay.
of 2019.
Right, but, so we're finally getting to a point
Right.
where for a secret decision, you know, secret determination by the planning.
No, I remember waiting.
Time flies when you're having fun. Excuse me? Time flies when you're having fun.
It really does.
Yeah, I was just talking about this the other day, and, you know, where did that project go?
Yeah.
So is it the main thing with the public about just more traffic on the roads back there?
That was a big,
That's one of the claims.
and water use.
Travel areas
Traffic,
Wastewater.
water and sewers. But I'll just note that, so both the water supply and the sanitary are going to be operated by Dutchess County Water and Wastewater Authority.
What is the water supply?
Groundwater supply, there's actually,
Groundwater.
Groundwater.
There's all wells.
yeah, there were 3 wells that Daytop had, and so we redeveloped, well, so we looked at some additional locations on the site, but ultimately we went back to redevelop those existing 3 wells that Daytop had. And that was done 2020 through like 2021, 22.
And if something fails back there, whether it's a septic system or the town of Rhinebeck has nothing to do with it.
So it's not a septic system, so it's a sewage treatment plant. And so it's, Daytop had a sewage treatment plant. So now Dutchess County Water and Wastewater Authority is operating both the water supply and the sanitary, treatment and collection.
But I mean, the town of Rhinebeck has nothing to do with it.
Nothing to do
Because
with
there was something with the cove, that was a major problem.
It was a major problem. And so right from the onset of this project, the town of Rhinebeck Planning Board wanted another operator, and now it's Dutchess County Water and Wastewater Authority. And they have been a great presence at the planning board meetings to answer questions and concerns of the public.
I'm surprised they take
Thank
it
you.
on, actually.
Yeah.
I mean,
I actually just had a meeting today with the director, just to prepare all the easement documents, because Water and Wastewater Authority has to have access, so they operate and they're responsible for maintenance. Like, for example, where the sewage treatment plant is, I have to provide an easement area to put another sewage treatment plant if you have to do that. So they have the ability to access all these places. The same thing where all the water main and the sewer collection is. The documents are significant, and there's a homeowners association associated with this too, that will be, we're now starting to go through that process, because we feel like, we've moved through the planning process with the planning board and moving forward with this board also.
that's amazing.
It's been a long time.
Yeah.
You get paid by the hour?
Things again.
I was thinking the same thing.
12 years?
There's been a lot of public opposition, so it's,
Yeah, very difficult.
it's been a challenge. Right?
Yeah.
And,
Yeah.
I mean, me, I'm a straight shooter, and have presented, we feel like we put together a good project. And, we've gone through 3 traffic studies, right? The same thing, with regard to water supply, we did 72-hour pump tests on our wells and looked at, I think, like 12 or 13 wells off-site as far as, a half a mile away, and, no impact. And, Kim brought it up, one of the, bigger concerns of the neighbors now is, wastewater treatment and discharge, there's an intermittent stream, but that's why we have Water and Wastewater Authority that, operates systems like this throughout the county.
And you'll get to present it again on the 15th.
Yes, we will.
Yeah, but that's, I think that's a great help, having that entity to quell whatever fears there are, the fears are not going to be quelled. It certainly gives you credibility and
Absolutely. You know, they've been at the public hearings, and they have responded, and they, that's a system in place, and there's, it's a benefit.
We'll see you on the 15th.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you very much.
Motion to reschedule it?
Huh?
Do you have the motion to reschedule it? Did you put a motion?
Oh, they did not, well, we think that they just usually just schedule it.
Yeah, I'm not sure what we did, how it ultimately ended up. I know we just got tired of redoing it, and we just, or maybe you asked us to, I forget
Well,
what the
Gretchen's
mechanism
just
was.
saying, if you want, you can make a motion to schedule.
All right, I make a motion that we schedule a public hearing on the matter for January 15th. Do I have a second? All in favor?
Aye.
All righty.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Good night.
I just want to reserve the reschedule if it was.
Okay, you want to talk about this meeting quickly, since we're at 9 o'clock?
Yes, so basically just want to give you guys a quick update on road meeting. At the last meeting, you guys had started deliberations. I had sent a letter to Sean Kemp, the attorney from Brooklyn, to get an extension until,
No, you're good.
get an extension until January, so which they have provided. The only thing is that, so, your last deliberations, were very helpful. You guys discussed certain things such as making sure that the use has a nexus to Brookney. You talked about that there's no commercial use, it's not really for an event space. Brian Tam had provided a definition for a special event venue out of the zoning law. The only part that I'm still struggling with in terms of drafting the decision, and I had hoped to get you guys some of the draft, but I just didn't have time, but it's the handling of the community-oriented basis. Some members of the board have discussed, I think Joe at the last meeting kind of said that there really is no nexus between Rotary Club or Chambers. I think Catherine agreed with that. But Scott has mentioned that, the 2017 application included it explicitly. Now, as I've mentioned to you in the past, of course, yes, that is what the planning board did. If you don't agree that that should have happened, the municipalities are not stopped from correcting errors. If you think that there was an error, you as the board can state that there was an error and that it shouldn't have been granted. Or if you think that it should have been granted because, it is part of Brooklyn. So I didn't know if you guys have any additional thoughts on that aspect, just to help me know what direction you guys are going.
And to me, they're kind of almost grandfathered in, and again, I've told you, I cannot be totally objective, I admit that. I was chamber president, I was on the chamber board for years. I've attended events there. It's not a commercial venture like the bakery, which was clearly wrong, and that was stopped. But, doing the Good Egg thing, it is a great event, and they actually, there's no event space in the area that can accommodate something like that. I mean, the beat used to, but it got too big. While there may not be a nexus, or you really have to stretch for a nexus, I don't have a quarrel with something like that. That's not a commercial event in the sense that maybe it's a fundraiser to some degree, but it's a community event. Nobody's making a lot of money out of it, either the chamber or Brook Weeks and things like that, especially since it was mentioned before. I just don't want to, seem removed. But then, again, the argument is, well, if you let them, then you have to let other people. I don't know if you have to get that far, because you can just go back to the 2017 thing and say, hey, they enumerated certain folks, like it or not, we're willing to live with that, even though we could eliminate it. I don't feel comfortable doing that. I would not vote for that.
You would not vote for
eliminating the chamber, Rotary, and all the other things that were mentioned in 2017. I would not. That's personal. And, the thing is, we do not have to be unanimous. We are usually unanimous on things.
Right.
We all have our own ideas, and we respect each other's opinion, and reasonable minds can differ. So that's just my opinion, in my experience, and whatever The democracy here decides, they
There's a
decide.
fine line between what you're saying and whether you just open it up for an event place.
Well, it's not an event place, it's, you can't have weddings there. You
Okay,
can't
so
have-
that's, well, that's what, exactly where
But
I was
these are
going.
community events. I mean, this is like the Chamber's community.
event.
A wedding is not a
Everybody-
community event.
Yeah.
It's
So
it's
so
private.
is that easily worded?
Ask the poor person who has to do this.
I
I mean,
think
it's-
where we ended up last time, if I remember correctly, was, okay, there was that little enumeration in 2017. And I felt like we were leaning toward sustaining that. Like, okay, these things were enumerated, there's a bit of apples and oranges in there, it's not a very clear delineation, but we'll stick with those. But then that we needed to articulate better what are the things that are outside that. You know, like. if we
Like
say-
weddings,
Like,
private things, that's not a community event, it's a wedding. Okay, it's just not.
so you
Or
could-
bar
you
mitzvahs
could
or
say
whatever.
something like, the space cannot be rented out for private events.
Now, there's, aside from the community things, and then there are things that are have a nexus, like, for example, if you had I call it a CLE, because that's what we call it, well, continuing legal education. So you had a continuing education thing with nurses dealing with geriatric issues. There's a nexus, I could see doing that, or something like that.
But you just wouldn't open it up to, let's say, community use by any other nonprofit in the community.
Yeah, it seems unfair, but that's just, that was delineated in 2017, and if we had it to do over again, it probably wouldn't be done, but,
Right, and that's what I just want to just say, but I understand what you're saying, Scott. I do think that it's a bit of shaky ground
yeah.
legally to say, well, that's what they did, if you don't think it should be there. Like, if, you know.
I don't have a problem with it, to tell you the truth. The community event, I have no problem with the community event. And there's a lot of community things that go in there. You got the soccer fields. I mean, that's a community event. There's lots of kids running around, and that's a really good thing. And is there a nexus between the soccer fields and Brookmead? Not really. So, I mean, maybe the delineation is community versus private. I don't know.
Two questions, if I may. Is it a polling place? Is that?
A polling
It was
place.
a polling place, yeah.
I voted there. I voted early there. It was great.
Can you remind me what your colleague recommended?
John?
Yes.
What John had recommended, he says that, and I see his point of it, and I see your point of it. It's a tough question, but basically, what John's perspective of it is that to really be an accessory use, it needs to be something that's subordinate, incidental and subordinate to the main use. So in this case, the main use would be either overall a senior living facility, nursing home, or the adult day camp, which means that residents from Rhinebeck or other areas come to it for the day and then leave at the end. There's the residents that live on campus, and then there's ones that are meant for those that are aging or seniors that can go there during the day for certain events, and then they leave at the end of the day. So when you look at, so what was approved in 2017 was an adult day camp, and what was classified as Brookmead accessory uses. So John's perspective of it is that to really be an accessory use, you have to have that nexus. Rotary Club, Chambers, Boy Scouts, Yoga, Omega, which were enumerated in the 2017.
Even voting, I mean.
Yeah, voting, blood drives, they don't have that nexus. They shouldn't have been included in 2017. And the ZBA does have the ability to say, they're not allowed. It's tough because that has been what was provided to them, but as the municipality, you are able to enforce it as the zoning law is written. And Brookmead can't come to say, wait, this is what was approved in 2017, because if the board determines that those uses really aren't allowed there, the board can say they're not allowed there. So what I just want to so one perspective of it is that to just be strict and say Brookmead is a senior living facility, it's an adult day camp. The only things that are allowed there are accessory uses to those uses that have annexes that are subordinate and incidental to that use. That's the only thing that's allowed there. On the benefit, it will be straightforward. It will be easy to enforce, and it will be easy to understand in the future. The downside is that the 2017 application, the applicants did say this is what they were going to do. I did look at the minutes, and the minutes say that's what they were going to do. I think the planning board was under the impression that that had been going on, and they'll allow it if it doesn't expand, but there's really not a lot of discussion as to really how far it goes, and I think that's what's been so hard to manage and why we're in the situation.
But all of
now.
those things are community things. They're not individual things. There's no weddings, there's no individual kind of things. It's all community.
You don't know what the yoga is. That could be paid
Well-
yoga classes. Omega is certainly not community, it's a for-profit
Okay.
institution.
Yeah. Then,
Or I mean, money-making institution, whether it's legal structure, it's non-profit.
unless they, and if it's only yoga people from the outside renting that space, I agree with you absolutely, that should not be allowed. Is it yoga that is being utilized by the folks on site? That should be allowed.
Yes,
That's a totally,
Yeah, so John's view is that as far as the zoning perspective, our pure role, we should just say mix on virtually everything.
Yes, what
They would
he's,
be able to really limited stuff.
Except the soccer fields.
And they have to then vote
I ain't doing it. I can't do that. I would not vote that way. I'm just telling you right now,
And
I can't, I won't. Just the way
and
it
what
is.
John's saying is that that is the cleanest and the clearest way
Right.
forward.
Yeah.
He thinks that it would be supported by the zoning law to go that way. And again, it's just really just taking it down to brass tacks as to if it's an accessory use, that's what an accessory use is.
What's right, what's fair, and good for them and good for the community.
Just to also say too, because I did look a little bit into the zoning law, I looked into the special event venue, I looked into what adult day camp was, and you do have to also realize that there's, the zoning board is looking at what the zoning law says, that's what your role is, you're interpreting the zoning law. And then there's policy, which is by the town board. Town board is the one who decides what is going on there, what is not going on there, based on how they draft it.
Well, we know what the town board's position is, and they're adverse. They want to get rid of all this stuff. That's my understanding. Yeah, I think so, from what I hear.
Yeah, I think so too.
And I just don't agree with it. I don't think it's fair, and I don't think it's right, and I can't do it. And if I'm wrong, I'm wrong, I don't care. That's just the way, I gotta do what's right, what I think is right.
Being sensitive to the clock, would it be a correct statement to say that the town board or the planning board set new precedent with their
I don't know if I would
ruling,
say
and
that
then
I
we
wouldn't-
are going to be doing the same?
I would say that there could be an argument that the planning board granted something that shouldn't have been granted. Again, that's one of the things that this board should be determining, right? Is that, was what the planning board granted correct in terms of zoning? Like I said, I read through the minutes, I watched the videos, a lot of this discussion about things that have happened, community events, was glossed over. It was kind of, I think the planning board was really focusing on the adult day camp. And when they kind of talked about the other stuff, the applicant said, well, we're just going to do what we're doing there now and not expanding it. And perhaps the planning board should have dove in a little bit further details. They didn't. It is what it is.
Well, clearly there should not be an expansion.
Clearly what?
There should not be an expansion.
But I think that's one of the issues that
And that's
we're
one of the
facing,
issues.
is that there really wasn't a lot of discussion.
Yeah.
Brookme did provide lists of 2017. Seems like a lot that had been going on there, but
So do you have better clarity now?
myself, well, again, this is the
To
board's
write.
decision.
To-
Oh, yes. So I think that maybe in terms of the community events, I don't know where everyone, but I think from what I'm hearing from Scott and Catherine is that stick to what was specifically listed in the 2017.
I think we could be a little bit, I'm not sure if we could be a little, if we could clarify any of that 2017.
Do you want to clarify to have a nexus?
Well, nexus, and it has to be a community thing, because I think your point is well taken. If somebody was named, but it has none of the residents are partaking of it, and you can't have any nexus whatsoever, it's clearly a private thing like that bakery thing, which was crazy.
Yeah, you need to have a definition of community.
Yeah,
We need to define what
it's the
community is.
community definition that's like, okay, so under Skytap,
And that kept
the Rotary
community
Club,
vague.
the Chamber are community.
And no outside
And
events.
they were listed in 2017.
Right, and
Omega and yoga could be, and they could not. be.
well, they're not really, yeah, I'm not sure they're community so much, but if they have a nexus, if they're serving the folks there, then that's fine. But obviously,
Well,
if they're not,
That's what I mean. If they could potentially have that nexus.
Correct.
Or they could not. If it's just needing space for our access.
So some things could be on a case-by-case basis.
So that's
Well,
going to be hard.
I think
What's the
that
ZA
we
do
really
back there?
shouldn't be doing it on
I know,
a case
I know,
by case,
yeah, I know,
because
I
that's,
know.
otherwise we're just gonna be here
Yeah,
another 2
ZA's up there.
years.
Yeah, I know, that's fine.
I will say, don't mind just my opinion on this, and my advice is that if you really want to, I do think there's an issue with going outside the nexus. I see that the applicant did state that certain community events would happen. My recommendation is that if you do want to, if you think that those community events should be included, they should be if you go too beyond and you're including everything, you're really talking about another use entirely. And I think that's a danger to be considering, because it almost is getting a little bit like a special event venue. Or, so you do have to remember that there is a use that's already there. And you just have to consider what else can go there in the zoning.
And what did Trimble say? The best solution for this?
To go back to the town board.
but
and
it's
then-
not a solution, because as I understand it, the town board is probably not going to take it up.
Well, it may not, it sounds like it might not be a solution that you would like.
Well, it's not a solution if they're not going to consider it.
They're going to consider it, they're just.
They're not going to consider, as I understand it, maybe I'm wrong, but as I understand it, they're not going to consider any change in the zoning law which might help this situation.
And forgive me, I don't know. So you don't know.
Is the problem the neighbors? Or is it just,
I don't
is
know
it
that
just,
there's been a lot
where's-
of
no, I don't
issues
see,
with the
I
neighbors.
don't think there is, there has either, there's only 2 neighbors, right? I mean,
I don't know.
I
I know
don't-
that somebody had called
there
about
was
the
something, yeah.
gala.
But the gala is theirs, there's a nexus there, I mean, it's their own gala.
Yeah, I'm just saying,
I mean,
Richard
that's,
had asked who's complaining about
Right.
it, and there was a complaint about that.
and I'll be very candid with you, I was present, I didn't go to it, but I dropped my son and his girlfriend off there and picked them up and everything else. It was pretty tame, from what I saw and experienced. And I'm not a wild man anymore. So,
I think there has to be creative writing on this.
I pity Kim. I really feel bad for you, because I can't even imagine trying to.
Well, it's not that, I mean, there definitely is a way of looking at it, and I think that the board has expressed different opinions on it, but I guess the main thing, the community event is by far the trickiest, because it really, as Joe said at the last meeting, certain ones don't really have a connection. Certain ones do, certain ones don't. But it sounds like the board is in favor of allowing community events to continue.
If they were enumerated in 2017.
If they're enumerated.
2017, we're not gonna expand it and allow other community events.
So, I mean, the problem that I have with that is that, okay, so the Rotary Club and the Chamber can have things there because they were integrated. The Boy Scout, and I can't remember who else integrated.
Right.
So for example, the Boy Scouts and the Girl Scouts can't because they weren't integrated.
I think Boy Scouts were.
But I mean,
No, I hear what you,
when there's
it's,
there's some other new group that springs up,
But- right.
But then you have to remember but the use, what's really going on in Brookmead is a senior facility. It's not a community center.
I understand it is unfair in a sense, but on the other hand, the other stuff shouldn't have been allowed in the first place, and it's been ongoing. So I think the greater harm
Just
is
to
not.
say, Scott, if they haven't, if one point of view is that they shouldn't have been going on.
I understand, but I just can't do it. And I won't.
I'm very iffy about just saying no, none of that stuff. I feel very iffy about it.
Just saying no to,
Just saying no to all of it. If it doesn't have a strong nexus. then
yeah, me too.
I have a hard time doing that, but it's messy, and it's not.
Yeah, there's no fine line, that's the problem.
Well, if that's the way, then probably the fine line would be what was literally approved in 2017.
Literally approved, and we're not going to expand for it's a polite way of putting
The
it.
other thing to remember too is that just because a use could be more profitable if you open it up, doesn't mean that's what's allowed. Like just because they have the space and they can make a lot of use out of it, that's irrelevant in terms of, if they're located in the RC5 district, they already have a principal use. So, I mean, just because they can make the most out of it doesn't mean that they can make the most out of it.
No, I understand that.
Okay.
That's not our responsibility to make that profitable or not. It's
Not at all.
totally okay.
I think it's time to write.
I'm right.
Right,
Just in
so-
time for Christmas. Merry Christmas.
Well, yeah,
No, I appreciate your discussions on this because, it is a tough issue. And, we don't have a great record. I mean, that's, it's a tough record. So I thank you guys for staying a little bit later just to kind of help formulate that final piece of the puzzle for me.
Thank you. Thank you.
Motion to adjourn.
I'll make that.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.